record.
Without objection, so ordered.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I ask unanimous consent for the gentleman from Mississippi.
Gentleman's recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I oppose the articles of impeachment and like my comments be entered into the record.
Without objection, so ordered.
I reserve.
Gentleman reserves. Gentleman from California.
Madam Speaker, reserve the balance of my time.
Who seeks recognition?
Madam Speaker, I ask of the gentleman, is he ready to close?
No, we have a few more speakers.
Then I reserve.
Madam Speaker, I recognize the gentleman from New York, Mr. Espiat, for 1 minute.
Can you guys hear me?
Gentleman's recognized for 1 minute.
Give me a 1 if you can hear me.
Madam Speaker, if you live in Lenox Avenue in the village of Harlem in my district, you are not above the law. If you live on Webster Avenue in the Bronx part of my district, you are not
Can you guys hear me?
above the law. If you live in Washington Heights, the immigrant neighborhood in my district, you are not above the law. So I submit to you that if you live on 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, you are not above the law, and you will be held accountable.
Can you hear the hypocrites?
President Donald Trump asked Ukrainian president to do us a
Give
favor
me a 2 if you can hear
and
the
look into the
hypocrites.
Biden. That's abuse of power. President Trump used the official White House meeting to extort a Ukrainian president.
What's up,
That's
Lance?
abuse of power. President Trump ordered White House staff to withhold $400 million in aid to the Ukraine.
1, 2, 3.
That's abuse of power. President Trump and his staff deny defied multiple subpoenas from Congress. That's obstruction of Congress. He blocked witnesses from testifying before this
There's
body.
a little lag, but we'll deal with it.
That's obstruction of Congress.
It's better than it was. I've been watching tutorial
Nadie
videos.
está por encima de la ley. No one is above the law. I cast
Yeah, I
my vote for
removed
this
it
impeachment
because, hold on.
articles of impeachment, and I asked.
I removed that last one because there was so much confusion with the overdubbing. I don't know what happened there.
From Virginia.
Gentleman's recognized.
Thanks for joining us, guys.
Turn my statement into the
Okay.
record, recording that I am opposed to this articles of impeachment on the basis that they do not measure
Without
to Article
objection, so
2,
ordered.
Section 4.
I reserve.
Gentleman from California.
Madam Speaker, I'm proud to recognize the gentlelady from California, Ms. Brownlee, for 1 minute.
How's that
Gentlelady
right
is
there?
recognized for 1 minute.
I turned it up about.
Madam Speaker, as the chair of
15%
the
more.
Women's Veterans Task Force, I see every single day the immense sacrifice our women veterans and all of our nation's veterans have made in service to our country, in service to our Commander-in-Chief, our Constitution, to protect our democracy, and for every single man, woman, and child in our country. When the President of the United States used $400 million meant to protect our national security in order to cheat in our elections, he not only abused his power, he turned his back on the sacrifices of our veterans and their families
cool,
have
CJ,
made
thanks.
for all
How's
that
my
we
volume?
hold so dear.
turn my volume up
That
a little bit more?
abuse of power is reprehensible, and it is exactly what impeachment was designed to prevent. We have a solemn duty to protect our Constitution, to protect our democracy, and to honor all those who have laid their lives on the line for these United States of America. I yield back.
Gentleman from
Dog
Georgia.
and pony. Here we
Thank
go.
you, Madam Speaker. At this time, I yield for a unanimous consent request to the gentlelady from India.
I agree, Tommy, but I'm not going to say that.
Thank you, Madam
Not on
Speaker. I ask
YouTube.
unanimous consent to enter into the record my opposition to these articles of impeachment.
Without objection.
I reserve.
Gentleman from California.
Okay, cool.
Madam Speaker, I'm proud to recognize the gentlewoman from California, Ms. Davis, for 30 seconds.
Blue
Gentlelady is
waffle
recognized.
accountability now, man? I don't know. I think I liked
Madam Speaker,
Blue Ice is better.
Madam Speaker, make no mistake. We are not impeaching this president. He is impeaching himself.
That's a good line.
If you are the president and you obstruct justice, try to bribe a foreign leader, and threaten national security, you're going to get impeached. End of story.
It's always about national security, huh?
Yields back.
Necessity is the plea for every infringement of human freedoms.
Gentleman
It's
from
the
Georgia.
argument of tyrants. It's the creed of slaves.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. At this time, I recognize the gentleman from North Carolina for a unanimous consent request.
Gentleman's recognized.
Madam Speaker, I ask unanimous consent to enter into the record my opposition to these articles of impeachment.
Without objection.
I reserve.
Trying to
Gentleman
move your
from
chats into
California.
the chat box here. Go to YouTube.
Madam Speaker, I'm proud to recognize the gentlewoman from New Mexico, Ms. Holland, for 1 minute.
Gentlelady is recognized for 1 minute.
Yeah, look at the clown, says
Speaker, I stand
Arthur.
before you as a representative of New Mexico, a place where we believe in dignity and respect for all. In Congress, I've been fighting for them. We've been working to make health care more affordable, education accessible, and move our country forward for the people. But today, this president has forced us into a serious debate. We're talking about a president who used the power of the presidency for his own political gain, risking our national security and putting the integrity of the next election at risk. It's a sad day when a president shows complete disrespect for Congress as a co-equal branch of government and for the American people.
How much do you want to bet none of these charlatans are going to mention the Federal Reserve being on American soil, controlling everything?
Constitution, we have the solemn responsibility to hold this president accountable because it's our job. I urge my colleagues to live up to our responsibility and show our fellow Americans that no one, not even the president, is above the law, and I yield.
Gentlelady yields back. Gentleman from Georgia.
Guys, I'm going to iron out all these live stream problems, so
Gentleman from Oklahoma for
thanks for
unanimous
bearing with
consent
me.
request.
Gentleman's recognized.
I ask unanimous consent to enter into the record my opposition to these articles of impeachment.
Without objection.
And I reserve.
Guns save lives, absolutely. Absolutely.
California.
Madam Speaker, I recognize the gentlelady from North Carolina, Ms. Adams, for a unanimous consent request.
Gentlelady is recognized.
Thank you. Madam Speaker, I ask unanimous consent to enter into the record my statement in support of the articles of impeachment against President Donald J. Trump.
Well, how about
objection,
impeaching
so ordered.
yourselves? Put the same articles against yourselves.
Gentleman reserves.
Bunch of hypocrites. It's a zoo. It's a zoo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. At this time, I give 5 minutes to the gentleman from Louisiana, the minority.
It's supposed to be the amount of people in the
Gentleman's
chat
recognized
in
for
this
5
chat right
minutes.
now.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Impeaching a president of the United States. This isn't about some solemn duty tonight. Let's talk about what this is really about. This has been about a political vendetta that didn't just start with the Zelensky call. It started long before that. Just listen to some of the quotes from Democrats in this chamber. Speaker Pelosi, quote, "It's been going on for 22 months, 2.5 years actually. We cannot accept a second term for Donald Trump. What's more serious is that he can't win. This isn't about some crime that was committed. It's about fear that he might win re-election. That's not why you impeach a president." Al Green, quote, "I'm concerned that if we don't impeach this president, he will get reelected." The list goes on, Madam Speaker. In fact, there's some quotes that I can't even read on this House floor that some of our colleagues made. And keep in mind, more than 100 Democrats on this House floor voted to impeach this president before the Zelensky phone call. Just look at some of these articles of impeachment that they voted for. 2 years ago, 58 Democrats voted to impeach the president over comments he made about NFL players kneeling for the Pledge of Allegiance. Impeaching the president, over 50 Democrats voted to impeach him for that. Just this summer, over 90 Democrats voted to impeach the president for comments he made about the squad.
Republicans and
About
Democrats,
some
that's
other
funny.
members of Congress who make a lot of comments about him, and 95 members vote to impeach the President of the United States. This is a political vendetta. It has nothing to do with a crime committed. There was no crime. And why don't we listen to some of the witnesses? Obviously, we weren't able to call all the witnesses we wanted, but there were witnesses. In fact, Gordon Sondland, U.S. Ambassador to the European Union, he's mentioned over 600 times in the Schiff report. He was their star witness. And what did he say when asked? Quote, "Did President Trump ever tell you personally about any preconditions for anything?" His answer, no. Any preconditions for the aid to be released? No. any preconditions for a White House meeting. Under oath, he testified, no. Abuse of power. Let's talk about that
Blue.
article of
He changed
impeachment,
it.
Madam Speaker. George Washington law professor Turley, who admitted under oath that he voted against Donald Trump, spoke to this claim of abuse of power. In fact, he said, quote, if you make a high crime and misdemeanor out of going to the courts, it is an abuse of power. It's your abuse of power. You are doing precisely what you are criticizing the president of doing.
What's up, Wake
Abuse
Souls?
of power. There's a House rule, Madam Speaker, that requires, not allows, but requires that the minority get a day of hearing, which we asked for multiple times. They broke this rule. They didn't allow us to have a minority day of hearing. They didn't want to hear the facts about this case because it was never about the facts, because there was no crime. It is about a personal political vendetta. Now let's talk about obstruction of Congress, as they make up these terms to impeach a president because they didn't find a crime and they were looking. It's been an impeachment in search of a crime. But they talk about obstruction of Congress and saying the president defied subpoenas, subpoena after subpoena. Let's go through the departments. The Department of State they subpoenaed. Do you know that literally just 4 days after the subpoena, the Secretary of State himself responded to your subpoena? The Department of Defense, a week later, responded to the subpoena. The Department of Energy responded to the subpoena. We can go on and on with all of these agencies.
Welcome aboard,
That's
William
an
Hale.
abuse of power. That's an obstruction of Congress, responding to your subpoena. That's what they did. They responded. You might not have liked the answer, but that's not the way this works. You don't impeach a president because you don't like his foreign policy, as so many of those foreign policy experts came and testified. But this isn't just about Donald Trump. They don't just hate Donald Trump, Madam Speaker. They hate the 63 million Americans who voted for this president, the forgotten men and women of this country who have been left behind, Madam Speaker.
Listen to that.
House will be in order. Gentlemen may proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Like a bunch of kids.
Those forgotten men and women of this country that Washington had left behind. And what's this president doing for them? He's delivering for them. 600 jobs in Pennsylvania, 1,000 jobs, workers in Mingo Junction, Ohio, $750 million investment for 600 new jobs across this country. Detroit News.
What's up, John
Chrysler,
Thompson? Welcome aboard.
6,500 new jobs. That's what this president is doing to deliver for those men and women of this country who had been left behind. It's about time somebody stands up for him, and President Trump is. So it is a political vendetta. But if they're going to go through with this, Madam Speaker, impeachment will not just be a stain on this Democrat majority. Impeachment will be their legacy.
Members
I yield
are
back.
reminded to address their remarks to the chair. Gentleman from California.
Madam Speaker, I recognize Ms. Custer from New Hampshire for unanimous consent request.
Gentlelady is recognized.
Madam Speaker, I request the unanimous consent for enter in my statement into the record regarding the 75th anniversary of the Battle of the Bulge in favor of articles of impeachment. Thank you.
What's up, Albert? Welcome
Without
aboard.
objection.
Madam Speaker, it is now my pleasure to recognize the gentleman from Maryland, the Majority Leader of the House of Representatives, Mr. Hoyer, for 1 minute.
He's still in no
Gentleman's
truth.
recognized.
My colleagues,
The gentleman will suspend. The House will come to order. Gentleman's recognized.
Madam Speaker, I have had the honor of serving in this House for over 38 years. I've served during 6 presidencies. I've been here through moments of tremendous progress
I just did that as a test, guys.
and terrible tragedy.
All right, so
I've
super
seen
chats do
periods
come up
of
now.
rank partisanship and patriotic bipartisanship. I've seen our two-party system
Beneficial
work,
brainwashing. I like that.
and I've seen it break down. Never, in all my years of serving in this great institution that I love, and the people of my district, did I ever expect to encounter such an obvious wrongdoing by a President of the United States. Nor did I expect to witness.
Are those super chats coming through, guys? I'm doing some tests trying to get stuff set up so that I can live stream more efficiently with this OBS.
Security at risk.
A lot of people have been requesting. Let me just
undermine the integrity.
A lot of people have been requesting that I do live streams on something more professional. I'm trying to try out this new program.
We've heard from Republicans that
Okay,
this
cool.
impeachment
Thanks,
really
Stones.
has to do with policy differences, or how we feel personally about the president, about his temperament, or that we simply dislike him.
He's been in almost as long as you've been alive. I know what's up with this. They come into they come in as paupers, and they leave as rich men. What's Nancy Pelosi worth? $192 million. How does that happen?
Of wrongdoing. That pattern included
must be corruption,
ordering federal agencies to lie to the public.
Thanks, Sig.
Firing the FBI director for refusing to end investigations of his campaign. Siding with Vladimir Putin.
No, come on.
Against our intelligence agencies. Taking funding away from the military to put towards an ineffective border wall.
Yeah, it is a show, easy.
And setting policies that have led to the separation of families and caging of children. We have to be sure deep disagreements with the policies and actions taken by this president.
Thanks, Blue Ice. This guy is a king, not a representative. Pigs. Yep.
Who voted for Mr. Trump. Little talk about the 65 million people who voted for Hillary Clinton. The policy difference.
Let me just real quick. I'm going to pause. I'm just going to mute this. The reason I'm doing this, hopefully you can hear me, is I'm trying to sort out this new OBS. It's called OBS, Streamlabs OBS, and it keeps me from having to just use my cell phone because I know it's really limited. I want to give you guys a better experience when we start talking about this. But the second thing is this is going on live. It's a dog and pony show. Most of the people up here are making at least $174,000 a year, which is over $85 an hour, $83.65, whatever, $85 an hour. And they're using our money. Thanks, Larry. Welcome aboard. They're using our money to waste our time to take us through this circus on live television. And people are all up in arms about it. And the big thing is, the takeaway from this, what you boil it down to, is it's a dog and pony show. It's bread and circuses. Like Juvenile said, give them bread and circuses and they shall never revolt. There are people hot under the collar on the Republican side, hot under the collar at the Democrat side, and they're just all going against each other. And the reason I'm doing a live stream like this is because if you go to C-SPAN right now, there's like 58,000 people watching. Those people need to be watching this, listening to your comments, seeing how we treat this thing. Because I'm telling you guys, we are never going to improve anything in our society unless we get out of this dog and pony bread and circuses show that keeps us around and around and around, because we're not focused on our enemies right now. What we're focused on is each other. We need to be focused on the people who are really destroying this country and really destroying the world. So let's get back to this guy's nonsense.
60% of Democrats voting not to proceed. Credible witnesses, many of whom were appointed to office by President Trump, have corroborated the details and timeline of his abuse of presidential power, which forms the basis of the first article of impeachment in this resolution. Instead, I will not recount all of the witnesses.
Okay, guys, James Richards says they all oppose the Second Amendment and infringe upon it. Yeah, and really, man, people are like, wow, you're so simple. You know, it's more complex than that. Yeah, there are complexities involved in what's going on here. But what's going on is all you have to do is look at the Second Amendment, look at the First Amendment, look at the Fourth Amendment. Are they violating anything? If they're violating anything, if they're infringing in the slightest, they're against you. They're your enemy. Therefore, James Richard also says, therefore, none of them defend, uphold, or protect the Constitution, hypocrites, including Trump. And yes, that's true. Look at Trump, red flag laws, Brian Babin, Dan Crenshaw, the TAPS Act, the Threat Assessment Protection and Safety Act, which is the exact opposite. It's not going to protect us. It's actually going to encroach more upon us with a minority report type of, style of intrusion. Forget about the Fourth Amendment. We don't care if you have a right to be secure in your person's house's papers. In fact, we say we're going to enact the TAPS Act on you. We're going to enact red flag laws on you. We're going to take your guns from you. We're going to set the policy and you're going to obey. If you don't obey, then you'll get punished.
Unprecedented. When President Nixon and Clinton were asked to hand over documents and allow officials to testify, ultimately both complied because it is the law. Such actions of the president can be taken as further evidence of his obstruction and abuse of power. It is, in and of itself, impeachable conduct, the subject of the second article of impeachment. These two articles before us concern two very profound constitutional issues.
Yeah, that is a little off the topic on this beneficial brainwashing. I appreciate you being here, but I can deal with that in a separate video. To me, I would have to launch off the earth to figure out and to be honest about what I saw. Other than that, I have to take people's word for it. You know, I've seen all the videos on, hey, no, it's a globe, no, it's flat. I haven't arrived at a conclusion, and I hate when people try to box you in and go, oh, you don't believe the flat earth? Oh, you don't believe the globe earth? Well, you're crazy. So, yeah, that's a little bit beyond the scope of this video, but I'm open-minded, I'll tell you that. If I can't prove it, I'm not going to say it. But to me, it doesn't matter what shape the earth is, but it does matter to me that all these guys right up here, Republican and Democrat, want to take your freedoms away and my freedoms away. Whether it's flat or round, sphere, whatever, I just want to be free. I just want to be left alone. That's the bottom line.
Who weighed in on these points. Some 1,500 historians have said the same thing. As Professor Noah Feldman said, if we cannot impeach a president who abuses his office for personal advantage, we no longer live in a democracy. We live in a monarchy, or we live under a dictatorship. The votes we are about to take concern the rule of law.
We already live under a dictatorship,
and our democracy itself. Let us not forget the words of John Locke, so influential to the founders of our republic.
Yeah, it's the Truman Show.
John Locke, millennia ago, said this: wherever law ends, tyranny begins. This impeachment asks whether we are still a republic of laws, as our founders intended, or whether we will accept that one person can be above the law. In America, as we have said over and over again, no one
Thank you, Sam the man.
is
I
above
appreciate
the law.
that.
But only as long as we hold every person accountable for breaking the law, even a president, will that be true. If the House does not act, if we wait and delay, we run the risk of allowing the president's misconduct, if we believe it to be so, to be repeated at the expense of the integrity of our elections, our national security, and our constitutional system of separation of
Iberian
powers.
hero, yes, Trump violated the First Amendment, an
Democrats
impeachable offense just a couple
did
days ago.
not choose this impeachment.
That's impeachable.
We did not wish for it. We voted against it. We voted against it once. We voted against it twice. We voted against it 3 times as recently as July.
Yeah, such a waste of taxpayer money, exactly.
However, President Trump's
We came, we saw,
misconduct
he
has
died.
forced our constitutional republic to protect itself. These votes that we are about to take,
Yeah, let's impeach
and
them
the
all, says
process
Cobb,
that will
man.
follow in the Senate,
Thanks for that super chat, man.
are not only an assessment of the President's commitment to the Constitution or to his oath of office, it is, as well, a test of our own. Damning evidence of the President's high crimes has emerged. Nevertheless, Republican members of this House and of the Senate have continued to defend a President whose actions seem to many of us to be indefensible. All of us feel a sense of loyalty to party. It's what makes our two-party system function. It's what helps hold presidents and majorities accountable. But party loyalty must have its limits. And as evidence of the president's impeachable offenses have mounted daily as the witnesses testified, it has become increasingly clear that the limits of partisanship have been reached and passed. Now Democrats and Republicans together face a test before our constituents, our countrymen, and our Creator. The New York Times on October 18th summarized the question now posed to House and Senate, Republicans and Democrats. Compromise by compromise, Donald Trump has hammered away at what Republicans once saw as foundational virtues: decency, honesty, responsibility, and yes, even civility. Went on to say, will they commit themselves and their party wholly to Mr. Trump, embracing even his most anti-democratic actions? Or will they take the first step towards separating themselves from him and restoring confidence in the rule of law? Madam Speaker, we have seen Republican courage throughout our history, from the Civil War to the Cold War. In 1950, Margaret Chase Smith, the senator from Maine, a Republican,
Yeah, let somebody else
spoke bravely against the cancer of McCarthyism in her party, leading 6 of her Republican colleagues in a declaration of conscience against their own leadership.
It's amazing that
We
C-SPAN
are
has
Republicans,
tens of
they
thousands
declared,
watching this right now.
but we are
Welcome aboard,
Americans
Shane.
first. In 1974, one congressman took the brave and principled step of becoming the first Republican on the Judiciary Committee to support impeaching President Nixon. He said to his colleagues and to the country, and I quote, "It isn't easy for me to align myself against the president, to whom I gave my enthusiastic support, on whose side I've stood in many legislative battles, whose accomplishments in foreign and domestic affairs I've consistently applauded."
I wonder how many
But it
people are
is
taking naps
impossible,
while these people are
he
talking.
went on to say, for me to condone or ignore the long train of abuses to which he has subjected the presidency and the people of this country. The Constitution and my own oath of office, he said, demand that I bear true faith and allegiance to the principles of law and justice upon which this nation was founded. And he concluded, and I cannot, in good
All
conscience,
the world's a stage, yeah.
turn away from the evidence of evil that is to me so clear and compelling. My colleagues, that Congressman's name was Larry Hogan Sr. He represented the 5th District of Maryland, which I now represent. His son is presently
Who writes
the
this
second-term
malarkey?
Republican
Hey, the
governor
malarkey
of
tour
our
must have
state.
stopped by Washington, D.C. today.
When Larry Hogan Sr. died in 2017, every obituary led with praise for his act of political courage. Who among us?
Yeah, if you're going to have a 3-ring circus and waste a
Many
bunch of
years
money,
from
make
now,
it, let it be exciting.
will receive such praise as a man or woman
Yeah,
of
it is,
courage?
Keith.
Who will regret not having earned it? We've talked a lot about partisan differences. There is one person who has spoken today
Is there going to be a test
who is
on this?
neither a
Isn't it?
member of the Republican Party nor the Democratic Party. His name is Justin Amash, who represents a Republican district. He left the Republican Party, and in doing so, he admonished his colleagues that, quote, this president will only be in power for a short time.
People hate Justin Amash
But
on the right.
excusing his behavior will forever tarnish your name.
Oh, look.
He spoke
Dakota
on
wants
this
to
floor
watch.
in support
What do
of
you
the
think,
2
Dakota?
articles that we will consider this evening. Neither a Democrat
Dakota
nor a
doesn't like
Republican.
Stony Hoyer. He doesn't like
Representative
him.
Amash, of course, is the only member of this House who has no allegiance to either party, but to his country. He is supporting, as I've said,
Get
both
this whole
articles.
part off the stage.
We need not ask who will be the first to show courage by standing up to President Trump. The question we must now ask is, who will be the last to find it? The pages of our history are filled with Americans who have the courage to choose country over party or personality. But as President Kennedy wrote, the stories of past courage can teach. They can offer hope. They can provide inspiration. But they cannot supply courage itself. For this, President Kennedy said, each man, each woman must look into their
Thanks,
own
Snapzilla Gorilla.
soul.
Great job in the National Guardman's interview.
I urge my fellow colleagues in the House and, yes, in the Senate
Let's put the fear-mongering
to
to
look
bed. This hearing is such
to
a
your
sham.
soul.
It really is, man. It really
summons
is.
the courage to vote for our
I don't
Constitution
know why your name didn't
and
just
our
show up. Or
democracy.
something.
I understand we will all not see the same conclusion. But to do less betrays our oath and that of our founders, who pledged their lives, their fortune, and their sacred honor.
Which you know nothing about. Nothing at all.
Let us neither turn away from the evidence, which to me seems so clear, nor from our good conscience, which compels us to do what in our hearts we know to be right. Let us not allow the rule of law to end or for tyranny to find its toehold. With our votes today, we can bear true faith and allegiance to the vision of our founders, and we can show future generations what it truly means to be Americans first. Vote yes.
Gentleman yields back. Gentleman from Georgia.
Oh, yes, because we want Mike Pence as president. Yay.
Madam Speaker, a few weeks ago, just off of this floor, I said that a dark cloud was descending upon this body. And today, because of the clock and the calendar, it is closing. It is amazing to me what I just heard from the majority leader, that Mr. Schiff and Mr. Nadler presented a compelling case for impeachment.
Right there.
If this is a compelling case for impeachment, I'm not sure why we're here right now. It is not anywhere close to compelling. But you know what is interesting is what I have heard today. The majority leader just spoke and said that if the president was given every opportunity to come prove his innocence. I tell you what, Madam Speaker, let me have just a few minutes, stop the clock, and let me go around to the press corps and everybody here, and I'm going to accuse you of something. You did it. You did it. You did it. You did it. Now prove it's wrong.
Very animated.
You did it. Guess
Always
what?
animated.
You don't want to. Because deep down you know that that's turning the entire jurisprudence of this country upside down. You're not guilty until you're proven. You're innocent. And today from this floor, we have heard the majority leader say this president is guilty and not the other way around. He is innocent, and these come nowhere close to proving it. But what is left of this body? Let's have an honest conversation, Madam Speaker. What we have found over the past few weeks is it is okay for the majority to tear down a foreign leader because they can't make their case. They've called him a liar or weak or worse, or as it was called in the committee, even look like a battered wife. It is below the dignity of this body and this majority to tear down a foreign leader because they can't make their case against this one. We have broken rules in this House, even to this moment. Chairman Schiff and the others have broken House Resolution 660 by not turning over the things that they should be turning over. I still have not got a transcript. We still don't know what we got, and the White House still has not got their stuff. I guess minority hearing rule days don't matter either. You see, there is a problem here, because we're going to vote this tonight while breaking the rules. What a shameful incident. But we also found in creative interpretation of minority rights. We saw the rise of partisanship because of things that have been done even further. And we've even seen members smeared in reports by drive-by political hacks when they match numbers of the majority or the ranking member and the members of the press. That ought to concern every one of you as much as it concerns every one of us. Nothing but a drive-by hit. But you know something? This majority leader also just said, wherever law ends, tyranny begins. But I will say this, in this House, wherever the rules are disregarded, chaos and mob rule actually began, and the majority has taken that to a new level. It has been said today, where is bravery? I'll tell you where bravery is found and courage is found. It's found in this minority who has lived through the last year of nothing but rules being broken, people being put down, questions not being answered, and this majority say, be damned with anything else, we're going to impeach and do whatever we want to do. Why? Because we won an election. I guarantee you, one day you'll be back in the minority, and it ain't going to be that fun. Because when you look at it, when you actually trash the rules of this House, you ought to really look at what did you gain at the end by trashing the institution you claim to love. That's the things we found out so far. But you know, they're really careful of saying, oh, you want to deal in process and process. As I said last night in the Rules Committee, where they didn't want to listen, I'll win on process and I will win on facts because we have the truth on our side. Let me remind you, no pressure. Look at the call. President Zelensky, President Trump, no pressure. There was no conditionality. There was nothing done to get the aid, and the aid actually came. There were 5 meetings. But when you look at it right now,
Okay, let's see. Is the echo gone now? It's YouTube. Still echo. Is that better? Okay. Oh, it's not better? It is better? It sounds better. Some people are like, no, they're still. Okay, let me ask you, can you hear Colin still speaking right now? The video is frozen? The echo's gone. Is Doug Collins still speaking? Well, now is this guy still speaking? Can you hear the system audio? Can you hear the charlatans talking? Give me a 1 if you can hear them. Video is still freezing. Oh, no sound. How's that? Do you have sound now?
He is president today. He'll be president tomorrow. And he will be president when this impeachment
okay, how about
is
now?
over.
Is there an echo now? No Collins, no audio.
Madam Speaker, when they accept that, maybe this House can get back to work for the American people.
I had it perfect.
Now,
Now it's
tonight I
not.
rise not as the leader of the opposition to this impeachment,
Frozen.
or
Your
as the
audio
elected
only.
representative from the Central Valley of California. I rise as Kevin McCarthy, citizen, no better,
Video lag.
no worse than the
I wonder if
435
I messed with the setting in
representatives
the
that are in this
alert
chamber,
box.
or the 330 million Americans watching this institution
Can't hear
make what
anything
I
now.
believe to be one of the worst decisions we have ever made. It doesn't matter whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, whether you're liberal or you're conservative, whether you're the first generation or the 10th.
I'm working on
At
it.
our core, we are all American, all of us. We choose our future.
Some people can't hear anything. Some
We
people are
choose
saying,
what
there
kind
you
of
go.
nation
You good?
we
No
want to
echo.
be.
Sound one.
Here's our choice.
You should be able to hear system audio. You should be able to hear the
Will we let impeachment
garbage coming out
become
of
an
Congress.
exercise of raw political power,
Why didn't I just leave well
regardless
enough
if
alone?
it damages our country? Or will we protect the proper
It's
grounds
frozen.
and
A lot of
process
people are
for
saying it's
impeachment
frozen.
now and in the future?
Let me see what I got.
For months,
Thanks for hanging with me, guys.
Democrats and many in the media have
This is a pilot
attempted
test on a
to
program that I have
normalize
no
the
idea how to
impeachment
work.
process that
Audio
would
good,
remove a
frozen.
duly elected president from office. After 3 years of breathless and baseless outrage, this is their last attempt to stop the Trump presidency. Madam Speaker, Speaker Pelosi even recently admitted that Democrats have been working on this impeachment for 2.5 years. Those were her words. They were not mine.
All right, I'm connected to my
Because
phone
they
now. Let me
lost
see.
to him in 2016, they'll do anything or say anything to stop him in 2020.
Oh, yeah, the picture's frozen, but
not
the audio's going. Weird.
That's not how democratic republics behave. Elections matter. Voters matter. And in 11 months, the people's voice will be heard again. Impeachment is the most consequential decision Congress can make other than sending our men and women into war.
I don't know why
Yet
the Frank Hobbs
85
just
days
subscribe box is
ago,
not disappearing either.
Speaker Pelosi chose to impeach the President of the United States. She wrote the script and created an artificial timeline to make the details fit.
Text.
Why else are we doing this just hours before Christmas? If that's all it was, a rush to judgment, she could be forgiven. But before the Speaker saw one word or one shred of evidence, she moved to impeach. In the past, in this body, such a step demanded a vote from all of us from the start. But not only did she move to impeach before she gave this House and the hundreds of millions of people we represent a say in whether to pursue an impeachment inquiry, she threw out That is why I immediately sent Speaker Pelosi a letter asking her to follow the rules of history, of tradition, and follow those standards that have served America well. What did she say? She rejected it. She rejected it because Democrats knew a fair process would crumble their case. A fair process would have exposed to the American public what many already knew. Democrats have wanted to impeach President Trump since the day he was elected. And nothing was going to get in their way, certainly not the truth. Madam Speaker, Chairman Schiff said he had evidence, more than circumstantial, of collusion. That was false. In January, where we all stood in this body, we stood up, we raised our hands, we swore that we'd uphold the Constitution.
Dems must love Pence, said YouTube watcher.
And a few mere hours after that, Congresswoman Tlaib said she was going to impeach the mother effer.
Cool. Good now? Good. Thank you, guys.
Those are not my words.
I don't know why that box keeps pulsating up there in the
A
left-hand
year
side.
before taking the majority, Chairman Nadler campaigned to the Democrats that he wanted to be chairman of the Judiciary Committee where impeachment is. New York Times writes, Madam Speaker, because he is the strongest member to lead a potential impeachment. And Congressman Raskin, a leading Democrat on the Judiciary Committee, one that the Democrats had represented in the Rules Committee for these articles just yesterday, told a crowd he would impeach President Trump 2 days before he was ever sworn into office. What we've seen is a rigged process that has led to the most partisan and least credible impeachment in the history of America.
Oh, check it out. Cool.
That is this legacy. Any prosecutor in this country would be disbarred for such blatant bias, especially if that prosecutor was the fact witness, the judge, and the jury.
Okay, now we got your, now we have the chat on the left-hand side so you guys can see your
Democrats haven't
chats.
just failed on process, has also failed on evidence. I've heard a lot of debate on this floor today, but I haven't heard one member of this body dispute this simple fact. President Trump provided lethal aid to Ukraine. It came before the call, it came after the call, and it continues to this day. President Trump provided Ukraine tank-busting bombs. The previous administration, they gave blankets. This is the truth. Meanwhile, the Democrats' case is based on second-hand opinions and hearsay. Simply put, there are no grounds for impeachment. As constitutional scholar Jonathan Turley, and I would challenge to say he's probably the most respected, and we all know it, a Democrat who did not vote for the president, said under oath there was no bribery, there was no extortion, no obstruction of justice, and no abuse of power. Based on the facts, based on the truth, based on the lack of evidence, Turley called this the fastest, thinnest, and weakest impeachment in the U.S. history. Such a definitive answer should be the end of all of this.
Thanks, Blue Isis. Yeah, me and Trish and
But Speaker Pelosi
Isaiah
is
just
still
came
moving
back from the
forward
gym.
with this impeachment without evidence of facts or truth or public support. The Speaker says it is out of allegiance to our founders. On this, I agree. I agree with the Speaker. We should listen to the founders. And if one does, it's very clear that this impeachment is unfounded and improper. In the Federalist Papers, Alexander Hamilton wrote, there would always be the greatest danger, that impeachment would be driven by partisan animosity instead of real demonstrations of innocence or guilt. That impeachment would be driven by partisan animosity instead of real demonstrations of innocence or guilt. James Madison, another author of the Federalist Papers, wrote, the danger of legislative abuse must lead to the same tyranny as is threatened by executive abuse. The founders did not want impeachment to be used for political or partisan battles. If my colleagues do not want to follow the constitutional high standards for undoing a national election, perhaps you could have followed Speaker Pelosi's standard, at least the one she promised to follow back in March. It was a very sensible standard. She says impeachment is so divisive that the evidence must be overwhelming, compelling, and bipartisan. Not one of those criteria have been met today. Based on the facts, based on the evidence, based on the truth, this impeachment even fails that Pelosi test. Those now who say removing President Trump would protect the integrity of our democracy have it backwards. By removing a duly elected president on empty articles of impeachment, Congress will erode the public trust in our system of government. I understand you dislike the president, his beliefs, the way he governs, and even the people who voted for him. How do I know this? Because you say so day in and day out. In 2016, they even dismissed his supporters. Remember calling us deplorables? Now they are trying to disqualify our voice before the 2020 election. They want to undo the results of the last election to influence the next one. As I've said, President Trump will still be president when this is all over. But Congress will have wasted months of time and taxpayers' dollars on impeachment rather than doing what America's people want us to do. It didn't have to be this way. Is this why we came here to serve? To trample on due process rights? To issue more subpoenas than laws?
Thank you for the super chat, NorCal Patriot. Thank you for being here. I appreciate that.
That is not leadership. That is raw political politics, and you know it. By refusing to acknowledge.
And that's the perfect reason why you wouldn't want an entity called government, because that's all they do is waste money.
Your effort to undermine the president, this impeachment has divided this nation without any concern for the repercussions. Moreover, politicizing this process has discredited the United States House of Representatives and could forever weaken the remedy of impeachment. To again quote Professor Turley, "It is the Democrats' rush to impeachment on these grounds with unfair procedures that is an abuse of power."
Did he just say political politics? What other kind of politics is it?
Madam Speaker, as I said at the beginning, we face a choice. Do you trust the wisdom of the people, or do you deny them a say in their government? Fortunately, the people will have the opportunity to speak up and render their verdict in 11 months to my fellow Americans. To my fellow Americans, if you approve of the way of this House has conducted their business, if you want to see your tax dollars go forward to endless investigations, support this impeachment. But if you want to restore a working Congress, like the previous Congress that listened to you and worked to bring the best economy in this country has ever seen, and one that once again will work with the president to get things done for you and your family, then join with us in rejecting this baseless impeachment. That's what's wonderful about this system of ours. We are a government of, by, and for the people. Always remember, we work for you, not the other way around. Now, I will say this stronger and with more conviction than I have ever said it before. In this time of great trial and tribulation, may God bless America. I yield back.
Speaker, I yield back.
from California is recognized. House will be in order.
No, that's not true. That's not true.
Gentleman from California.
Absolutely false.
Madam Speaker, I recognize myself for the remainder of our time.
Gentleman's recognized.
Madam Speaker, my colleagues, after 8 hours, let us return to where we began with the articles themselves. Article 1 charges the President of the United States with abusing the power of his office by coercing an ally into cheating in a U.S. election on his behalf. It charges the President of the United States. It charges the...
Be in order. The gentleman has a right to be heard.
It charges the President of the United States.
The gentleman shall suspend. Gentleman may resume.
It charges the President of the United States with abusing his power by withholding official acts, by withholding a White House meeting that the President of Ukraine desperately sought to establish the support of his most important benefactor, the United States, by withholding hundreds of millions of dollars in military
Can you hear
aid
everything? No echo?
to a
Everything sounds
nation at
good?
war,
Give me a 1.
in order to get that nation to intervene in our election by smearing his opponent. That is the gravamen of the charge in Article 1. And what is the defense from my colleagues? Now, I've listened carefully to my colleagues for the last 8 hours, and I have to say it's been hard for me to follow. But it amounts, I think, when you cut through it all, when you cut through all the sound and the fury signifying nothing, what it really amounts to is this: why should we care? Why should we care about what the President did to Ukraine? Well, first of all, we should care about our allies. We should care about Ukraine. We should care about a country struggling to be free and a democracy. We used to care about democracy. We used to care about our allies. We used to stand up to Putin and Russia. We used to.
The echo should be gone. Is the echo gone now?
I know the party of Ronald Reagan used to. Why should we care about Ukraine? But of course, it's about more than Ukraine. It's about us. It's about our national security. Their fight is our fight. Their defense is our defense.
Okay, good.
When Russia remakes the map of Europe for the first time since World War II by dint of military force, and Ukraine fights back, it is our fight too. And when the President sacrifices our interests, our national security for his election, he is sacrificing our country for his personal gain.
Child of Christ,
that is the gravamen of Article 1.
I appreciate you.
Article 2. Article 2 charges the President of the United States with obstructing the Congress, with denying the Congress any witness, any document, by telling all of his administration people, you will not appear.
Yeah, if anybody was
You will
full of
ignore
shit,
a co-equal
it's
branch
that
of
guy.
government. And what is the defense to this from my colleagues? Again, it is, why should we care? He is the president of our party. Why should we care if he ignores this Congress? Well, I remind my friends that he will not be the last president. There will be another president. And you may be one day, although you do not act like it, you may one day be in the majority. And you will want to hold a president accountable. And what will you say when that president says, you are a paper tiger, you have no oversight, I can ignore your subpoenas? What will you say? What will you argue? Well, no, that was different. Then we were in the minority. Then it was a Republican president. Will that be your argument? Is that how little faith you have in our democracy, in our Constitution? Is that how poorly you defend and uphold that Constitution? But finally, let me ask this question.
Thank you,
that
Michael
overrides
Turner.
it all.
I appreciate
Why
that.
should we care about
New Jersey,
any of this?
No driver's license.
And I will bring you to one conversation that came to light, because it's not the most important conversation, but in many ways it is the most revealing. It took place on September 14th in Ukraine, when Ambassador Volker sat down with Andrei Yermak, the top advisor to Zelensky.
Yeah, blah, 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 huh?
And he did what he should do. He supported the rule of law, and he said, you, President,
Rule of
Andrei
law is a
Yermak, should not
construct of the mind.
investigate the last president, President Poroshenko, for political reasons. You should not engage in political investigations. And you know what Yermak said? Oh, you mean like you want us to do with the Bidens and the Clintons? And in that abrupt, brutal retort, we see why we should care. Because what he was
Trump
saying
having
is,
a rally right now, guys?
you,
If he
America,
is,
have
you wanna go to it?
forgotten what it means to uphold the
Give me
rule of
one
law.
if Trump's having a rally. I think he's
You have
supposed to have one
forgotten what
tonight.
it means to
And
say that no
if
one
he
is
you wanna
above the law.
Go over to that.
We are a struggling democracy, but even we know better than that. What is at risk here? What is at risk here is the very idea of America. That idea holds that we are a nation of laws, not of men. We are a nation that believes in a rule of law. When we say we uphold the Constitution, we're not talking about a piece of parchment. We're talking about a beautiful architecture in which ambition is set against ambition, in which no branch of government can dominate another.
Yeah, it's not fully functional
That is what
yet.
it means
I'm
to
working
uphold
on
the
it.
Constitution.
I got a lot of
If
bugs
you
I gotta
ignore
work
it,
out.
if you say the president may refuse to comply, may refuse lawful process, may coerce an ally, may cheat in an election because he's the president of our party, you do not uphold our Constitution. You do not uphold your oath
Yeah,
of
Trump
office.
has a rally.
Well, I
Let
will
me see.
tell
I'm
you
gonna- I'm
this.
gonna go over to
I
it. Let
will
me see what's
uphold
going on there.
mine. I will vote to impeach Donald Trump. I yield back.
All time for general debate has expired. Pursuant to House Resolution 767, the previous question is ordered on the resolution as amended. The question of adoption of the resolution as amended shall be divided between the two articles. The question now occurs on the adoption of Article 1. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Gentleman from Georgia.
Speaker.
Madam Speaker, I ask the ayes and nays on that vote.
The yeas and nays are requested. Those favoring a vote by the yeas and nays will rise. A sufficient number having risen, the yeas and nays are ordered. Members will record their votes by electronic device. This will be a 15-minute vote.
While they're doing that, they're deliberating for 15 minutes for the vote. I'm going to try to go over to this Trump rally, see what's going on over there. Non-skippable ad.
Look how we're doing. Do we love it? I love it. But anyway, I was the man of the year, and probably like close to 10 years ago, and I came to Michigan.
Can you guys hear it okay?
He said you're still the man of the year. Thank you.
Do I need to turn up the volume?
Who said that? Thank you. So I came in, and I remember the speech so well. I said, why are you allowing them to steal your car companies? Why are you allowing them to go to Mexico and
Give me a one if you can hear it okay.
China, where they come in from China, they build them in China, they sell them into our country with no tax, and you lose your jobs, you lose your factories, the companies leave, and you get nothing. Why are they allowed? I asked that a long time ago, and we've stopped it. We've stopped it. You see that. And we just made the USMCA. We're getting rid of NAFTA, which I think is the worst trade deal ever.
Guys, USMCA is horrible for America. It basically gives away America's sovereignty at a faster rate than NAFTA ever did. It's NAFTA 2.0.
Very, very prohibitive. They can do it, but they got to pay a hell of a big price to do it. And history has proven that stops them. But we have a great USMCA that we negotiated with Mexico.
Yeah,
with
it's pretty quiet because
now,
that's
from the standpoint
that's
of
the
farmers,
website I'm
you know
getting it
what's
from.
going
It's a
on.
Fox
We had
affiliate.
tremendous trade barriers in Canada.
Let me see.
We had a tax on dairy products, 297% tariff. Nobody talked about it with
Yeah,
Canada.
it's all the way up.
And we had some really bad things with Mexico. We now have a
Let me find a better
deal. And
feed.
if we didn't have a good deal,
There's 37,000 watching this right here. It started 24 minutes ago on the
I would
stream.
have put tariffs on both countries, and that would have been it, right? And that would have been it.
Raise the volume, something on media. Yeah.
Unfortunately, the deal's been sitting with Nancy Pelosi for a long time. And what happened?
I don't know if you guys know much about
pressure,
USMCA, but it is
from
bad
manufacturing areas,
news.
farm areas, a lot of pressure to
Hold
sign
on,
it.
I'm going
So
to try to
here's what
turn this
happened.
volume up. I'm going to go to another
I
site.
get along with labor. You know, I had a lot of union labor.
Let's see. That's the Fox News one. Let's see if Detroit Free Press is going to
And she had a lot of pressure, especially from manufacturing areas, farm areas, a lot of pressure to sign it. So here's what happens. So I get along with labor. You know, I had a lot of union labor. Vote for me. Tremendous amount of.
Can you guys hear this one better?
In New York,
Seems a little louder to me.
we have a lot of unions, and that's okay. That's fine.
Let me know.
So we left a little stuff for the union because we figured to get it signed, we'll give a little bit, and we did. And we have one great deal, and now you have the Democrats trying to take credit for this deal, and that's okay. Whatever it takes. For 7 months it sits. They don't do anything. We give, and by the way, I spoke to the unions the day before. I said, fellas, you got to get it done. And you know, and union labor loves me, and I love you too, sir. I love you too, sir. So we have a great deal with Mexico, with Canada, and it is true. I say that because I say it to them right now. If they ever wanted to break the deal, that's okay. If somebody wants to break a deal with me, and this country, the deals we made, you know, we did a deal with South Korea, that's great. We did a deal with Japan, $40 billion deal with Japan. And we're not, that was just a little piece of a deal, okay? That was a piece of a deal. And I said to Japan, look, you got to make this deal, or we're going to put a 20% tariff on the cars, and that's more money than anything we're talking about. So we have, that's all right. That's all right.
Let me just say something about the crowd mentality. I don't care if you're talking about a Democrat crowd or a Republican crowd. You've basically turned your mind off and you've submitted your mind to the crowd. There's a book by Gustave Le Bon written back in the 1800s called The Psychology of the Crowd. You can even read some stuff on what's his name, Edward Bernays, about crowd psychology. You basically give up your individual rights by being a part of that crowd. You know, even if you disagree with what the crowd says, the crowd speaks over you because, of course, there's more of them than there is of you. It's a very dangerous situation to be in a crowd. You can get easily trampled. You know, crowds react. They're not thinking logically. They're not there to weigh the facts. They're just there to have fun, especially at a rally. That's what a rally is all about. It's about, you know, just throw your mind, you just turn your mind off. Let's get pumped up about this. Yeah. Bad deal being in a crowd.
They won't say it, because when we have protesters all in favor, they don't talk about it. But there's a slob. There's a real slob. Wait a minute. She'll get hell when she gets back home with Mom.
Thank you, extra good citizen. I appreciate that.
She screams a little bit, and you know what I like to do? Avoid them. Because, you know, I'll tell you the big problem. I could hardly hear her. what happens is all of you people go crazy. Look, look, look. And the place, okay, so there's one disgusting person who made, who made I wouldn't say this, but made a horrible gesture with the wrong finger, right? Now, they won't say that, the fake news. They won't say. If one of us did that, it would be like the biggest story ever. I think it's terrible. And I'll tell you the other thing. I don't know who the security company is, but the police came up, but they want to be so politically correct. So they don't grab her wrist lightly and get her out. They say, oh, would you please come? Would you please come with me? So, ma'am, would you? And then she gives the guy the finger, and oh. You got to get a little bit stronger than that, folks.
Pure entertainment right here. Pure entertainment. That's all it is.
But of course, the guy's afraid that he'll grab her wrist lightly and he'll be sued for the rest of his life, that you've destroyed her life. No, but I think it's a terrible thing. And here's what happens. So these fakers back there, they're the most dishonest people in the world. They'll go back. This is one person who made a horrible gesture only because the security man let her have so much time.
They're deliberating for 15 minutes. I think they have 4 more minutes for that deliberation.
They do it so good. And they're going to make that like it was the biggest event, so just forget it. And we know what's going on. And that's the good thing with live television. Look at all that live television back there. So in addition to the USMCA, which is going to be great for the automobile business, should even be good for the cereal business. Battle Creek. I've been eating Battle Creek cereals for a long time. Too much. They're still making great cereal, right? I hope. I know the area is doing good. But in addition, we made a great deal with China. And China's paying us billions and billions of dollars a year. They never gave us 10 cents. They've given us $1 billion, and we're leaving the 25% tariffs on $250 billion. They didn't mention that. We're leaving, we're making another group of tariffs, 7.5%. This gives us a lot of currency to do the phase 2 deal, which they want to start. But we're taking in billions of dollars, and to help the farmers who were targeted,
so far,
16
right
billion
there, guys. It looks like
and
they're
12
still
billion the
tallying it up.
previous year. Helps the farmers. So you know what we do? Out of that big check that we get, that money flows into the treasury, right? Out of the big check, we gave the farmers $16 billion and $12 billion for the previous year. And the incredible thing.
Yeah, and where'd that money
And I was
come
with
from?
a lot of farmers.
Stolen
I was
from
with
you
a
and
group
me.
of 36 farmers at the White House. You know what they said to me? I said, don't worry about it. We're going to take care of you guys.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Thomas
And I used a
Johnson.
bad
Totally
word.
agree.
You know what word I used? We're going to get you a subsidy. And they said, this is 2 years ago. I said, how much were you targeted for? This was the first year. 12 billion, sir. The second year was 16. They were targeted. That's what they didn't get from China. So I said, it's all right. We're going to give you a subsidy of the
He's
same.
definitely entertaining
and we're going to
Awakened
take it out of the
Souls.
tariffs.
Definitely
And we're going to
entertaining.
have billions and billions of dollars left over. And they said, sir, we don't want money. We just want a level playing field. I've never seen that before. They just want to be able to have a level playing field. I thought, because, I sit at a lot of those meetings, and whether it's countries or whether it's companies, everybody wants money. The farmers just wanted a level playing field. But we took good care of our farmers, that I can tell you. And we made the largest ever investment in our military, $738 billion all made in the USA, right? So we will have invested in our military since I'm here, which is less than 3 years. Our military, by the way, in all due respect to the previous 2 administrations, our military was depleted. It was depleted. It was in bad shape. We had fighter jets that were 35 years old. We had planes that were 60 years. You heard where the father flew them, The grandfather flew them, and now the young son comes in. We've got the best equipment in the world. Now, spent $2.5 trillion made in the USA, $2.5 trillion. We will shortly, that'll be all finished. We're going to have the greatest, we have the best planes. We're going to have the best ships. We're building a lot of ships now. We're building the most powerful weapons in the world. Now, we don't want to even talk about it. We never want to use them.
There you go.
But you know the way we're not going to have to use them is if we have them. We're building submarines, the power of which nobody's ever seen before. Nobody's ever seen before. You know, it's funny, we have these companies come in. I like to make good deals, you like to make good deals. That's what we do, right? So these really countries that come in, prime ministers, presidents, sometimes dictators, those we can't deal with too much. Sir, we'd like to buy a nuclear submarine. I say, no thanks. I turn them all down. You have no idea how many people, but we're building some of they're the most powerful weapons ever made by man or womankind. I say mankind and womankind. See, in the old days, I would say mankind. Now I say mankind, womankind. This way I don't get in trouble with our friends.
All right, so while
we have the most powerful in the world, and what we're doing is incredible.
Thanks, Bacchus Shamil.
With missiles, with rockets.
Bacchus Shamil says, I think we're all outcasts here. Both sides would tear us apart. Brian, when are you planning to hit the mean streets of America as soon as possible to go out and do those man-on-the-street interviews? Let's go to the vote count here while we're listening to Trump.
They're better looking than Tom Cruise. Good movie.
214 to 158. 214 to 158.
Maybe slightly better. The body's bigger and stronger. They can definitely, just like me now. They can definitely fight. They're the real deal. These guys are so good looking. I said, you could be a movie star. Go to Hollywood. No, sir, I like doing what I'm doing. So I said to these guys,
59 seconds left.
Just like central casting, I said, fellas, how good is this plane? They said, sir, why? Because the enemy can't see.
Just to be clear, this is a vote on agreeing to Article 1 of the resolution. So far, it's 215 to 161.
I said, you mean they can't see? So you shoot at them, but they can't. He said, they have no idea where we are, sir. I said, that sounds good to me. Nobody does it. Nobody can do it. We have the whole thing, and we've ordered a lot of those planes. We've ordered a lot of great stuff. And I won't tell you the story, but very early on, I thought we were going to have a problem someplace. And one of the generals came up to me and said, sir, don't go. Don't do it. Why? We don't have the ammunition. And I said two things. I never want to hear a president, right? We never want to have a president hear that again, nor do we want a president to have to go through the crap that we're going through. But, you know, another thing we did, which to me is such an incredible thing to have done, it's such an honor. So our last U.S. Armed Forces,
All right, so we got 220 to 166, 167, time has expired. Rising 168, they're not going to get that. So yays are 220, 221 to 169 so far. Time has expired.
so I'll be able to tell, hey, and everybody else, see that Space Force? That was my baby. And you think that was easy?
Space Force, give me a break.
You have Democrats
Can you
that do
be
not
more
like our
stupid?
They do not like our
You've got to be kidding, Space Force.
And we did something yesterday because for 3 years I would see people that run, incredible people, the heads
Yeah,
of
they're
the
going to use those
historically
weapons
black
on us as
colleges
blue
and
ISIS.
universities in the country. And every year they'd come in
Don't
and
put it past them, guys.
They needed help, and they do need help with it, and it's great. And they do an incredible job. So many great schools, but they need help. And every year they'd have to come and come. I got to know them, actually. I said, the only bad thing is you won't see me too much anymore because we just provided record funding for our nation's historically black colleges and universities. Right. And it's long-term. They're not going to have to come. So I said, look, you know, we could do it. Will we do it every year? Or we'll do what we have. What do
No,
you think?"
MGC, I'm not going to be able to get on Discord after this. I got to
So we'll miss them,
spend
but
some
they
time
are
with the
great
fam.
people. They've done an incredible job.
Smells
And
like
our
tacos have already been made.
Extraordinary Jobs
I'm
Boom, which
hungry.
created another 266,000 jobs last month. And then you add the undercount from the previous 2 months, you're close to 300,000 jobs. And you know, they said, if you're a business watcher, which I am, I love watching business, but they said they were guessing could be 70,000, could be 80,000, maybe.
You know, but I'm gonna mute Trump here for a second, and I'm gonna mute this. Let's just talk about something. I like to watch this off-camera stuff where, you know, a lot of these people are completely unaware that they're on camera, just milling around. It's all kind of a party. There's Tulsi Gabbard right there. There's Jordan. You know, everybody's just kind of laughing and patting each other on the back, and there's Green. It's all kind of a good time. Heck yeah, all these people are making at least $174,000 a year, guys, plus benefits. Plus benefits. They're all just sitting there having a good old time. It's all a part of the show, guys. It's all part of the show. So far, it's 227 to 179. Just a big dog and frickin' pony show. Probably all of them go out afterwards and just have a nice little cocktail. Hey, it's late at night. It's Wednesday night, 7:28. East Coast time is what? 9:28. Let's go out and have a beer, celebrate, making a lot of money, making a lot of changes, making a lot of laws, transferring a lot of power. That's what it's all about, guys. Don't forget, not one politician is in your corner. If you have a politician that's going to come out against the Second Amendment, the First Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, they don't want you to have the right to be secure in your persons, houses, papers, and effects. Law enforcers don't want that, and they don't want that. Look at them just milling around. I want to see if they're going to say something afterwards. We'll go back to Trump until we can see something, see if they're going to say something. Look, you can kind of hear it. Birds of a feather flock together. Political parasites. Sucking money. Can you imagine being one of these parasites right here? How can you sleep at night knowing that you're extorting the American people to the tune of, they just did a budget package, guys. $1.37 trillion to keep the government open until September of 2020. 1.37 trillion of your dollars. They don't care about you. It's a big club and you ain't in it, like Carlin said. The reason I keep repeating that is because it's just flat out true. And then you got Trump over here lying to us.
She said, darling, I think you're one of the greatest investors. Why don't you do this professionally? And I don't even know what I'm doing, sir. I just have all these stocks. So I just want to tell you, I look at a 401k.
Trump's going out for pizza later.
So
I'm watching the chat now, Outlaw.
I care about the rich ones. I care about everybody. I care about everybody, actually. So, Ford Motor Company just announced that it is investing $1.5 billion into auto factories in the Detroit area, creating another 3,000 Michigan jobs. And that's on top of the many other investments we've gotten from Japanese companies, car companies, and other companies. But they're all coming in, and a lot of them are coming to Michigan. And I say, hey, go to Michigan. Sometimes they'll go south, and that's okay, whatever. I want them in this country. But ideally, I want to fill them up. We're doing so well in Michigan with the auto companies. Now you're back. You're back. So you're back. Very proud of you.
Outlaw, I missed your question. Can you rephrase it?
Very proud of you. But
What's your question, Outlaw?
Jobs, fighting for Michigan workers, and achieving numbers that you've never seen before. Incredible victories for the American people are happening. The radical left in Congress is consumed with hatred and envy and rage. You see what's going on. I'll tell you, these people are crazy. You ever hear it's the economy stupid? You know, that was Clinton saying.
229 to 190.
I have the greatest economy in the history of this country. And nobody talks about it. Nobody talks about it.
let me say this about what he just said. Governments don't make great economies. Governments wreck economies. If you had a free market economy, you'd have a great economy. But we don't have a free market economy because they're constantly mucking with things. Governments that constantly get involved, quality goes down, prices go up. It always happens. That's history. And if we don't learn from history, we're doomed to repeat it. I don't care who you got behind the pulpit. And that's what that is. It's a pulpit. Statism is a religion. He's basically a pastor of a huge church, a huge statist church that thinks it's okay to initiate unjust force and violence on peaceful people who haven't done anything wrong as long as it's the Republicans doing it. And the Democrats are the same way. We want to initiate unjust force and violence on peaceful people who haven't done anything wrong as long as we're manning the wheel, steering the vessel. It's all dog and pony construct of the mind crap. We need to wake up. We really need to wake up. Trump hates the Constitution. Take the gun first, due process second. Amen, Thomas Johnson. What was your job? Oh, I'm not going to mention that right now. I'm not going to talk about that right now. I will talk about it, though. It's just not the right time right now. It's the left versus right paradigm is what's paralyzing us. It's literally evil, man. Nobody's talking about the Federal Reserve. Why wouldn't you talk about the elephant in the living room? Why would you not talk about the IRS? You're going to talk about your great economy? Well, how great is the economy when it could crash tomorrow? Your entire 401k could just dissipate tomorrow. Who cares how great the economy is today? It's not stable. It's on borrowed time. I'm surprised we haven't crashed yet. That's government's number one thing that they're good at is they eliminate competition. When you eliminate competition, you put all the control mechanisms and the power and in the hands of the power elite. A vote for Republican or Democrat is a vote to have a master. Exactly, Lucky. Exactly. Trump is officially impeached. Well, that's Article 1 of the impeachment. I think they have 2 articles of impeachment. Let me see. The yeas are 229. You got 228 Democrats, one independent voting yay. Like this even matters. 2 Democrats voting nay on the Republican side, and 195 Republicans for a total of 197. So you got 229 to 197. Numbers may still roll in, but I don't think they're going to bridge a 34 vote gap. Look at all of them. They're still mingling. Hey, where do you want to go have dinner tonight? Hey, it's on the American people. That's why I call them parasites, guys. They're political parasites. This is corporate welfare at work. Okay, she's about to gavel. Here we go. She's not mic'd. That's why it's low. Does any member wish to change their vote, she says. This is agreeing on Article 1 of the resolution. Okay, so she's being handed the... Here we go. She's mic'd now.
On this vote, the yeas are 230. The nays are 197. Present is 1. Article 1 is adopted. The question is on adoption of Article 2.
This will be interesting.
The question is on the adoption of Article 2. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The ayes have it. For what purpose does the gentleman from New York seek recognition? For what purpose does the gentleman...
Here we go. Here we go.
For what purpose does the gentleman from New York seek recognition?
I ask for a roll call vote.
A recorded vote is requested. Those favoring a recorded vote will show
He said roll call vote, not recorded vote.
Will be in order.
The lady's drinking, I'm telling you.
A sufficient number have arisen. A recorded vote is orders. Members will record their votes by electronic device. This is a 5-minute vote.
God, they love dragging this stuff on. They love it. All right, back to Trump. So we got 5 more minutes. They just put 5 more minutes on the clock for a roll call vote, not a recorded vote. Nancy, does she ever stop drinking? Does she ever stop? I mean, she needs a new tube of Effordent to keep those dentures in too. A roll call vote. Do you think it's prescription meds, babe? Prozac. She's keeping the opioid Xanax. She's keeping the roll call. I mean, she's keeping the CIA in business. All right, so we're going to be back at that in 4 minutes and 19 seconds. Let's go to some more nonsense here.
Things in history. Was that the greatest? Remember when they all said, no, you can't win Michigan. You can't. And then I did one in Grand Rapids, right? Grand Rapids. And we had 32,000 people that night. It was 1 o'clock in the morning. That means it was election day when I started speaking. Hillary, Barack Obama, Michelle Obama, and Bill Clinton. They did an emergency trip. To Michigan at 6 o'clock. They got here at prime time. They started the speech at 500 people. I got here at 1 o'clock in the morning the next day, which is now election day. How many people were there? 32,000. 32,000 people outside. It was the last speech in Michigan. And they said, well, sir, it's very hard to win Michigan. I said, why would it be hard? Here's the beautiful thing. Everything I told you, I've done, but much more so. I said I was going to bring car companies back. I said I was going to bring in. I just hope you people know that. I just hope you know. But I'll never forget that night. And, in all fairness to Bill Clinton, he used to be a friend of mine until I ran for office. I like him. But he told, the way they tried to shut him out, right? Because he's a pro. He's an instinct guy, right? He's instinct. He doesn't need polling companies and all. Who the hell wants him? If you want a polling company, pick up the newspaper. The problem is the newspaper polls are more fake than the news they write. They write fake polls. They write fake polls. You call them suppression polls. You read them and you get the press because it looks like you're doing badly. They do that. I think it's almost worth.
More nonsense from Trump. We'll get back to it in a second. But look how much these guys make, guys. This guy right here, Gianforte, whatever you meant to say his name, $135.7 million net worth as of 2018. Here's Feinstein, 58.5. Blumenthal, 70 million. This is millions, guys. That's in the millions of dollars. Do you think it's here's Nancy Pelosi, 16. Come on. Nancy Pelosi's got a higher net worth than that. This is just on the books. Schneider, 14.9. Rick Allen, Sensenbrenner, 11.1. Guys, these are multi-millionaires. These congressmen and senators. Give me a break. For 2014, the median net worth of the congressperson was $456,522. You think is that a coincidence that all these people who are in Congress and in the Senate that parasitically live off of the extorted tax cattle money of the American people, that they're just rolling in the dough? And guys, I am telling you, this $35.7 million and all these millions of dollars in this column right here, that's just on the books. They all cover for each other. It's pitiful. But yeah, let's keep voting for them because things are going to change, right? Yeah, keep stay in your delusion.
You horrible human being, you better start listening to me because you're going to get your ass whooped. And you know what happened? She didn't listen, fortunately. And she didn't come to Michigan enough. And she didn't come to Wisconsin, I think, at all, right? Because her polling data looked good. It looked good to me, too. Every time I went there, we had these crowds. So we won Wisconsin. We won Michigan. And the great Ronna McDaniel. Where is Ronna? Ronna. She was so horrible. I didn't know her. Ronna McDaniel. And she was so aggressive. She kept calling and said, could you please come out to Michigan? I said, who the hell are you? And I said, what do you mean, another trip? So anyway, we had these big crowds. I made it again.
0 time remaining, 2:11 and 147. This is on Article 2. So Article 1 passed, 230 to 197. This is Article 2 of the resolution.
She was the campaign chairman in Michigan. So I said, okay. And then I got the ultimate call. 6 o'clock in the evening for this final deal in Grand Rapids. Sir, could you come to Michigan tonight? And I thought I was just about finished. I went to a last great state. And I said, it's over. Now I sit back and I watch it. Let's see what happens, right? But she said, could you come to Michigan? I said, that is the most aggressive human being I've ever met. And we did it. And we won Michigan. And the word is that we're much higher right now in the polls than we were ever in 2016 in Michigan. You better remember when you walk into, it's November 3rd this time. November 3rd. By the way, though, that evening, that incredible evening in November, right? One of the biggest nights in the history of television. You never hear them say it, so I might as well. That election and my debates. You see, their debates are dying. Who wants to watch Buttigieg?
Somebody just yelled, "You're the GOAT, greatest of all time." Yeah.
You know that you pronounce it, they say, I heard some guy saying, no, because it's an unpronounceable name. That's why they call him Mayor Pete. Mayor Pete. Mayor Pete! I've had you up to here, Mayor Pete. No, Buttigieg is leading. How does Buttigieg? No, you say it this way. You say it, they call him Mayor Pete because nobody can pronounce his last name. That's the only, people think it's such. By the way, you know what? I'm not going to say bad things about him. You know what? I'd love him to win. I thought I knocked off Pocahontas. I did it a year too early. A year too early. I give her credit. She then started.
Republicans love this kind of speech, this knocking people down, making fun of their names. And yeah, Pocahontas, it is all funny. But, when you really think about it, it's not funny because they're ripping us off. They're taking away our freedoms, transferring power to themselves, and they're banking elite Zionist overlords. It's just pathetic.
Alfred E. Newman. You got to be older to know what that means. But congressional Democrats are directly attacking 2.3 million Michigan voters who rose up in 2016, won the state, and now the Democrats are very upset. They want to get Michigan back. They just don't know how to do it because they didn't do a thing for Michigan. They didn't do anything for Michigan. You just lost. All they did was take away your companies and let them go to Mexico and other places.
That is also true. I mean, there's truths that he laces in with his lies.
You know that, right? Not because of me. They're not moving. But Mexico has 32% of our car business moved to Mexico. Can you believe this? Before I got there. But that's what I used to talk about. I said when I was honored that night, I said, how do you let this happen? How do you let all these companies leave? It used to go. It's probably maybe the single biggest reason I ran for president. It might be the single, and I had a lot of them.
Yeah,
I had a lot of them, but that may be the single
NBC's saying he's been impeached. I mean, it's going that way.
Impeachment. The do-nothing Democrats, and they are do-nothing. All they want to do is focus.
221 to 168 so far.
Their deep hatred and disdain for the American voter.
Like it matters.
All this partisan impeachment is a political suicide march for the Democrat Party. Have you seen my polls in the last 4 weeks?
Clown world. Yep, that's right. Clown world.
It's crazy. You know why? Because people, we have an election right down the road. I announced 3 months ago that I'm running, right?
Yeah, you're right, Outlaw. Yeah, he's playing them. They're being played.
I announced because I figured once they announced they'd never impeach, nobody would be so stupid. But they've been trying to impeach me from day one. They've been trying to impeach me from before I ran. Okay? Because if you remember, when I ran, I went immediately
222 to 170. This is on the second article.
We had center stage from day one in the debates. So we had, I don't know, 14, 15 debates.
I wonder if somebody will whisper in his ear and give him the news, and if they did, I wonder if he would even say anything about it.
But we had 18 people, and I was center stage. And I said, wait a minute, this is no good. I want odd numbers.
They haven't brought the volume back up on this yet.
In the middle. So I said, make it 11 or make it 9. Okay? Or I'm not showing up. And generally they didn't. Because we were way ahead from the beginning, but I made a lot of great friends out of that group, and many of them are good friends today, although you wouldn't know it based on they say that was the meanest. That was a pretty mean primary, you gotta say. Wasn't that fun? Through there, I liked it. Through there.
Oh, is CNN reporting impeached?
Today, crazy Nancy Pelosi.
That'd be interesting.
Have branded themselves.
Nancy Pelosi is crazy, that's true.
It really is. It's a disgrace. Democrat lawmakers do not believe you have the right to select your own president. They think that the Washington swamp, which we believe it or not, it ain't easy because they got so much stacked.
Yeah, well, why'd you put Steve Mnuchin as Treasury Secretary? He's a Goldman Sachs Zionist international banking insider.
You might as well call them Democrats. No, the media, look, I don't. You know, it's hard for somebody to know if you're not the subject, because how do you know the New York Times is totally dishonest, or the Washington Post, or ABC is so bad, CBS so bad,
226 to
NBC,
180.
I made a lot of money for NBC.
226 to 180. Nancy Pelosi has the gavel in her hand. They're about to call this. 227 to 181. I think Article 1 went at 230 to 197, so they've probably still got a couple more votes left. Time ran out. It was a 5-minute time limit, and they ran out 5 minutes ago, so they've already gone 10 minutes. I don't know what the holdup is. Everybody's sitting around. Even the Republicans are laughing, having a good time. It's fun and games to them, man. Think about it. When you can get paid as much as they're getting paid to do what they've been doing, this is nothing short of corporate welfare. You want to take a look at corporate welfare? Every one of these people is a Title 28, Section 3002, 15A corporate employee. Every one of them. They're working for the will of the corporation, not the will of the people. They can't work for the will of the people. That's not how it works.
Think of it. You have the greatest economy in the history of the world. Other countries come to see me, all of their leaders, and they say, sir, first thing, sir, congratulations on your economy. We're trying to do the same thing. Congratulations, sir.
I don't believe anything that comes out of his mouth. How can you?
And these guys don't like talking about it. And if they do, they say, Obama did it. Oh, Obama. Remember, Obama said, you will never be president. He will never be president.
Thanks, Beck Shamil. Yeah, well, it's going to implode. It's a matter of time.
And then I became president. He wasn't so happy. And in all fairness, he campaigned harder than crooked Hillary because he had more strength. I mean, I go to these places, you know, Secret Service. They take
228, 186. 228, 186.
I go through basements. I pass compactor plants. I know more about compactors from this town. I don't see lobbies. I say, fellas, you think you could ever maybe take me through a lobby? No, sir. But I'll tell you what, I go upstairs, downstairs, all around. They're taking me up 3 flights, go down 1. I said, are we almost there? Yes, sir, another 4 flights.
I will admit, he's way more entertaining than any other president that you've ever heard in your entire life. Aside from Reagan. Reagan was pretty quick-witted, had a lot of quips, actually probably funnier than Trump. But, you know, people like Trump, and they're blinded by him, just like people are blinded by Hillary.
Oh, would we love that. You think the Democrats are screwed up? Wait till that happens. Wouldn't that be? Oh, there's my guy.
229 to 190. Lock her up. Look at it, just zombies. Zombies. Just zombies.
Report. You just saw what happened with the IG when they came out, with the FBI. Based on that, you know what? I never stopped you, but now...
Yeah, New World Order. There you go.
Think of what they did. Think of how dishonest it all was. They shouldn't even be allowed to have an impeachment because it was based on dishonesty. It was based on illegality. She went out and they paid for a fake dossier.
Thanks, Gematria. I
They
appreciate
gave
that.
money to foreigners to write a fake dossier, totally disproven, totally fake. The FBI then took that fake dossier and they used it in the FISA court to get approval to spy on my campaign. And if we were Democrats, they would have been in jail 2 years ago. It's a disgrace. Think of what they did. So they used this fake dossier, and they brought it before this big deal court. It's a big deal.
229 to 198.
And they said this stuff.
Second article.
And they lied about it. Chris Comey, who's another beauty, did I do a great job when I fired his ass?
Did I do a great job when I fired his ass?
Oh no, they had bad plans.
It's hard for me to believe that there are Republicans out here that are actually falling for this guy. I mean, can you name anybody more pompous than this guy, who pats himself on the back more than this guy?
I love you, Lisa. I love you more than anybody in the world.
All right, here we go.
On this vote, the
Here we go.
yeas are 229, the nays are 198, present is 1. Article 2 is adopted.
There you go. Article 1 and 2 are adopted. Why'd they cut the mic? They cut the feed. Look, Nancy's hugging. So Article 1 and 2 of the impeachment have been adopted officially.
Without objection, the motion to reconsider Article 1 is laid on the table. Without objection, the motion to reconsider Article 2 is laid on the table. Pursuant to Section 7B of House Resolution 758, the House stands adjourned till 9 a.m. tomorrow.
There you go. Let's go have lunch, guys. Hey, good job. Good job. Where's Adam Schiff? Let's go buy him a beer, says the Republicans. Yeah, this is great. Dog and pony show. Yay. Who got screwed in this? Well, it was the Americans. Of course, they always do because we're so gullible.
We're in the insurance policy right now, folks. We've been in it for 3 years.
So just to recap, Article 1 and Article 2 of the resolution for impeachment have passed. The first one was, 230 to 197 or 198. The second one was 229 to 197. There you go.
Hannity said it.
Who cares?
Laura Ingraham said it. Tucker said it. Ainsley said it. But a lot of people have said it. They said there's nobody in the world that could have handled that stuff that happened.
Yeah, they all go to dinner together. Exactly. Bunch of sheep.
Economies and done more than any other president ever before in the first 3 years. I understand it, but it's my life. Very unfair to my family. I have to say this, very, very unfair to my family. What they put my family through is a disgrace.
I'm sick of hearing people say that Trump is draining the swamp. You cannot drain the swamp when you have, take the guns first, due process second. You can't drain the swamp when you say, hey, let's put Steve Mnuchin, Zionist international banker, in as the Treasury Secretary. You can't drain the swamp when you put Bolton in there as the National Security Advisor. I know he's gone, but he put him in there. You can't be draining the swamp when you put Mike Pompeo, one of the biggest war hawks since John McCain. You're not draining the swamp when you're filling. He's too busy filling the swamp. You can't drain the swamp. Hillary's not in jail. If you or I were president, we would have done everything we could. We would have pulled out all the stops and we would have put that hag behind bars. Bill Clinton too, and Obama, but they're not. Why? Because they're all sleeping together, guys. It ain't happening. It ain't gonna happen because they're on the same team, fighting for the same team owners. That's how it works. The fact that people are out there still saying that Trump's draining the swamp when he's doing the exact opposite of draining the swamp, you've got to be kidding me. Got to be kidding me. But look at the economy. The economy's so great. It's so wonderful. No. It's teetering on the edge like it always has been, thanks to the Federal Reserve, which he's not going to do anything about. And he's not going to do anything about the IRS. You want to help Americans get the IRS off people's back, but he's not going to do that. Why? Trump's not, I like take the guns first, due process second, Richard. That's not my quote. That's Donald Trump's quote. You don't say that if you're a patriot or an American. That would not come out of your mouth at all. He's trying to placate.
But he actually
How about bump stock bans? That's an infringement. If all Donald Trump did wrong was bump stock bans, that is against shall not be infringed. That is an impeachable offense. Oh, Brian, you're crazy, man. You're taking this way too far. No, you know what's taking it too far? It's taking it too far to continue doing the same things we've been doing over and over and over, expecting a different result. Bump stock ban, that's from Trump. That's all you need to know to impeach that guy. You don't give an inch. They will always take a mile. Starts with bump stock bans, then limiting magazine capacity, and then we're going to just take your rifles away. Look who instituted the first assault weapons ban. Who was it? Anyone? Ronald Reagan. Come on. Doesn't matter if they're Democrats or Republicans. It's all the same thing. Yeah, they can impeach the whole damn government for all I care. I'm keeping my gun, says riboflavin. Exactly. George Carlin had it right, said the heel. Exactly. He did. It's a big club and you ain't freaking in it. You're not a part of the club. Let's listen to more Donald Trump. Friend of Hillary. Donald Trump, friend of Hillary. How do you like that? He is the friend of Hillary.
Of Russia. I have absolute proof that the president, this is at the beginning, and every week they say, where's the proof? It's coming. It's coming. Then we get the Mueller report. Nothing. And I'll tell you what, I know some of the people in this audience. If
I think I saw Trump fist bump
not 45 million, not 18 Trump haters, okay? I call them the angry guy.
Trump was a Democrat till he wasn't. He never stopped being a Democrat. That's the funny thing about it.
Did he do a good job? Did he do it? How
See,
was his performance in front of Congress? Not the best.
Let's just talk about it. That's how easy it is to deceive people, guys. All you got to do is say you're a Republican and the Republicans will go for you. All you got to do is say you're a Democrat and the Democrats will go for you. That's how easy it is. That's how easy it is. It's just like taking candy from a baby. They know this too. The social engineers, the social media experts, the Zionist International Banking Cartel, the Operation Mockingbird experts. They know how you work. They know how I work. They know how to play the game. They know how to get into our minds and start pushing the buttons on the control panel in our minds and hearts. They know. Works in WWE or works in sporting events. They know that we're all tribally wired, you know.
I said, I haven't spoken to Russia in years. What the hell do I have to do with Russia? But this guy gets up. Oh, I think we have a vote coming in. So we got every single Republican voted for us. Whoa. Wow. Almost 200.
Yeah, and when he says it,
so we had 198.
when he says take the guns first, due process second, he says it right when he's sitting next to Diane Feinstein. Huh. Oh, geez, did I make a mistake? Like Nancy Pelosi? Let's see. Trump, take the guns first. All you got to do is look it up on the internet. Look, let's just listen to it. I know Trump fans don't want to listen to it. You're about to hear a genuine impeachable offense, guys. A genuine impeachable offense.
Yes, go ahead, Mike.
Well,
yeah, Mike rambles on. He's a stooge. Here we go.
Arms, but any weapons in the possession
Or
of that
Mike,
individual.
take the firearms first and then go to court, because that's another system, because a lot of times by the time you go to court, it takes so long to go to court to get the due process procedures. I like taking the guns early, like in this crazy man's case that just took place in Florida. He had a lot of firearms. They saw everything. To go to court would have taken a long time. So you could do exactly what you're saying, but take the guns first, go through due process second.
If Obama said that, guys, be honest. If Obama said that, people would hit the roof. It'd be like, you need to be impeached, Obama. But there's your champion. Here is your champion, my friends. He'll keep on taking guns until the end. He will start with the bump stock. Start with the bump stock, and then he will throw a Goldman Sachs banker into the Treasury Department. Oh, we're not supposed to say that. We're supposed to, if you're not for Trump, you're not for America. Oh, you're not supposed to say that. Oh, you're not supposed to look at that. Trump is American. Give me a break. Mike Pence is his handler. I don't know, man. They both look pretty crazy to me. People get so mad at me when all you have to do is point out the obvious. All you have to do is do a simple Google search. Would we find that in 15 seconds and pulled it up? You want to, and to me, I cannot believe that anybody still backs Dan Crenshaw, the guy with the patch over his eye, the former Navy SEAL. He wants to take your guns, people. Tulsi wants to take your guns. Andrew Yang wants to take your guns. Everybody wants to take your guns. I don't know if you heard, but there's a Second Amendment to the Constitution that every politician swears to. And there's 4 words that all you have to do is pay attention to those 4 words. Shall not be infringed. Guess what? The First Amendment has the 4 words too. Shall not be violated. Or that's the 4th Amendment. The right to be secure in your person's houses, papers, and effects. That right shall not be violated. Your right to keep and bear arms, I don't care what arm it is, shall not be infringed. How can it be more difficult than that? A 5-year-old could understand that. Just tell them what infringe means, let them go. And all I see when I see a congressman or a senator or a president or a vice president is just an infringer. That's what they're there for. That's what they do. People get mad at me. I'm for your freedom. They're not. Isn't it amazing? It's almost like Stockholm syndrome. It's they're beholden to the abuser, and they shun the guy who's really in their corner. Amazing. It's amazing. Brian, the Obama fan. The guy should not see. I don't even think they should pass go and collect $200. I think something. I'm not even going to say it on YouTube because I don't want to get my channel taken down. But something more severe than life imprisonment should happen to somebody like a Hillary Clinton or a Bill Clinton or a Nixon or an Obama or a Trump. Because they've sold their souls to the Zionist international bankers, and they will not tell you about the elephant in the living room. Thanks, Geometric Flow. Appreciate the super chat. So how am I for, unless you were being sarcastic, how am I for Obama? Magatard bots incoming. It is truly cognitive dissonance. I don't want to make fun of anybody. I just, we need to plant brush fires of freedom, and you can't plant brush fires of freedom by turning your mind off and listening to this stuff right here.
Now we have a great group of people behind us in the Republican Party.
You have to turn your minds off.
Maybe I wouldn't feel the same.
Republican Party, Democratic Party, are we still, guys, it's about to be, we're about to enter into a new decade. It's 2020 almost. We have at our fingertips the libraries of the world on our laptops, on our portable devices. I mean, I got this phone, I can access anything. I don't have to go to the library and mess with the Dewey Decimal System and look things up anymore. I can educate myself. You can educate yourself. It's not hard. It's becoming harder because censorship has really taken over this land, and Trump just signed a major censorship bill. But hey, we're still for Trump. Trump's for America. Make America great again. No, he just made Israel great again, guys. It's laughable. I shake my head every time I listen to him talk. I'm like, I can't believe people follow this guy. Just like when I was listening to Obama or Hillary. I can't believe people give these people airtime, and millions of people follow him. Hillary's got 20-something million followers on Twitter. Trump's got millions. Greta Thunberg has 3.7 million. It's like, guys, this is easy stuff. What's going to happen then when the real deception comes down the pike? Man. Beneficial brainwashing, tell them. It just seems
Carolyn Maloney,
so simple.
She's a long time, nothing much, believe me. She's a congresswoman from Manhattan, East Side. I was with her first race, I helped her. She was always so nice. Oh, thank you. I made lots of contributions over the years. In New York and United, it's like purely Democratic. especially Manhattan. So what happens? I make lots of contributions, years and years and years. I go run. The first person I see, Carolyn Maloney. I raise my hand to impeach.
The illusion of choice. McDonald's, Burger King. Yeah.
Gonna pay me back all the money. Gonna pay me back all the money. Then you have this.
You know what they need to do? They need to get rid of Washington's District of Criminals. Get rid of it. You know, you want to build a wall around that. The only problem is when I say that, well, where's the money for the wall going to come from? Oh, extortion, forget it. Don't build the wall. I will happily volunteer for all the tar, the hot tar that they need, and all the bags and buses and boatloads and truckloads of feathers they need. Because these people need to be shamed in the courtyard. Society needs to rise up and really become reputation-based. You don't have a good reputation when you're wearing a MAGA hat. You don't have a good reputation when you're wearing a Joe Biden shirt. You don't have a good reputation when you're going to the voting booth and pushing a button and pulling a lever for another oppressor, another state oppressor. You don't. Because every vote is like Stalin said, it doesn't matter who the people vote for. Every vote is a vote for us. Every vote is a vote for Israel. It doesn't matter if you vote Democrat. It doesn't matter if you vote Trump. It doesn't matter if you vote Biden or, whoever's going to be the Democratic nominee. It doesn't matter if you vote Trump. You're voting for Israel. They own us. They've owned us for a long time. And you know what? Orange Man is bad, but I'm not going to freak out over it. Obama Man was bad. Oh, there's my teleprompter. Now I can read.
It was the most profuse thank you that you could ever get. On a scale of 0 to 10, it was a 10. Okay, so that was what
Build the wall. By the way.
Now they talk about this phony impeachment. And she's out there, well,
By the way, when you say build the wall, or if you ask the government to do anything, even if it seems like it's a good thing, you got Trump's build the wall, you got Elizabeth Warren saying let's knock out all the student loan debt and let's tax the top, 0.5%, an extra 2%. When you got Bernie saying we need universal health care for all, when you're asking the government to do anything or lower the price of prescription drugs or whatever, even if it's a good sounding thing, you're literally saying, when you say build the wall, you're saying extort the American people. When you're saying get rid of, give everybody universal health care, you're saying extort American people. You're saying you're for theft and violence and coercion of the state, as long as it's working for you. That's what you're saying. And so this whole voting process, that's what's wrong with the left versus right paradigm. It actually reduces you to immoral rubble. Do you really want to extort your neighbor? Why don't you do it? If you're the big man on campus, why don't you go next door to your neighbor and you steal from the milk money from their kids' mouths? Why are you going to vote and have somebody else do it for you so they can make a resolution or make a law so some law enforcement officer can make sure that law is enacted? Why don't you do it? You want to build the wall? You go steal the money. Because that's what you're asking. You're asking for other people to steal money for you so you can have something done that the Democrats don't want done. It's BS. BS. Yeah, what happened to Mexico paying for it? You ask the government to do anything, you're asking for extortion. Extortion is theft at the barrel of a government gun. You're literally asking for immorality to happen. Well, what's your plan? What's your solution? The solution is to stop being immoral. The solution is to stop asking for a master for yourself and a master for your neighbor while you're at it. That's the solution. The solution is, hey, you know what? If I want my neighborhood to be safe, then I need to get out there and know my neighbors, let them know that they can trust me and build a relationship. But no, that's not how America works. We got to vote for people. We got to enact laws. We got to make this place safer. The price of freedom is eternal vigilance, and indifference to this notion is the means by which the people will secure their own oppression. Blue Isis says the raid is a coup, not a protest. Back to Trump. Oh, he's still talking. Let's see.
And then what happened, right? Then what happened? So then the president of Ukraine, who's a quality person,
build a dome.
There was no pressure exerted whatsoever. That was a killer for the Democrats, right? Then his foreign minister said the same thing. He said, there was no pressure. exerted whatsoever. There was no pressure. That's a killer. So now, did you see what the Democrats did a couple of days ago?
Yeah, you know what? Shield Destroyer made a good point right there. The wall works both ways. It doesn't just keep people out; it keeps you in. It's a double-edged sword, man. Double-edged sword.
He said, do you know how insulting that is? Anybody that becomes president of a country, and that's a big country and it's a tough country, you got to be tough. He's tough. But so what they're saying now is he was weak because the wording just doesn't fit, okay? These are really dishonest people. And if the press was fair, this thing never would have happened. So the House Democrats are surrendering their majority, their dignity, their reputations. They look like a bunch of fools.
Yeah, stop.
And I'll tell you,
Yeah.
we have a lot of new stars in the...
That's another thing. Stop giving illegals free money. Stop giving out free money, period. What's Trump doing giving $391 million to the Ukraine anyway? What's Joe Biden withholding $1 billion from Ukraine for anyway? Where'd they get that? It's extorted money. You can't do stuff like that unless you can extort, and you can't even do that to the extent they do unless you have a dishonest money system like the fiat currency Ponzi scheme the Federal Reserve set up back in 1913.
They will say, oh, well, actually, we picked up 2 seats in the Senate that these guys never talk about. We just approved 171 Supreme Court justices, federal court justices.
George says, George 55107 says, I hope Trump gets the 2020. Why? It doesn't matter who gets it. If Elizabeth Warren gets it, the bankers are in control. If Buttigieg gets it, the bankers are in control. If Trump gets it, the bankers are in control. The bankers are in control now. The bankers are the problem here. All that free credit and easy money, if you took that away, you wouldn't have the military-industrial complex. You wouldn't have the Pentagon wasting trillions and trillions of dollars. You wouldn't have the endless wars. You wouldn't have any of that stuff. And you wouldn't even have the funding for these stupid political campaigns. You see how much they spent for that? Tom Steyer gave $91 million in 2016 to Democratic people. Who's the other guy? Who's the second highest donor? He backed Trump. He's the Zionist. What's his name? Somebody help me out. Who was it? Who was the second biggest donor, political donor in 2016 election? What's the guy's name? Anybody know it? I got to say it once somebody brings it on. God, why am I drawing a blank on that guy? Big time Zionist. He gave out of the $86 million he gave, 21 million went to Trump. He owns Trump. Anybody know who that guy is? It wasn't Adam Kokesh. He was the second biggest donor. Adam Green talks about him all the time. What's his name? Shoot. Don't forget space for Sheldon Adelson. Was it Adelson? Trump. Was it Adelson? For some reason. Yeah, it was Sheldon Adelson. Yep, that's right. God, guys, this is so crazy.
Nothing you can say where you don't get a Pinocchio. But what happens is we have Wall Street Journal the other day got the best story. They said whether you like him or not, the job he's done on judges and Supreme Court.
Yeah, it was Adelson.
But the job he's done on judges is amazing. Say it's the most important thing. See, I don't agree it's the most. I say defense is the most, the military is the most. But once you're beyond the military, I mean, to me, defense is the most important. Because without good defense, maybe we don't need judges so much, right? It's like somebody said, well, we violated the budget. I said, do me a favor. Don't worry about the budget. If we're attacked and aren't doing very well, and somebody says, well, at least we have a good budget, that doesn't work too well. Right? That doesn't work. So we have great military, we have great judges, we have great everything. Drug prices down. For the first time in 51 years, drug prices came down. And that was with no help from the Democrats. If they helped, because you need their votes. If they helped, I could get those drug prices down 40 and 50%. Okay? And we just approved, and we're approving very soon for.
Okay. This is a different list than I saw because the guy that topped the list that I saw was Tom Steyer, who gave 91 million. Think about that, 91 million given in 1 year. This list right here has Sheldon Adelson, who, guys, he's a Zionist. He's got the ideology of Zionism, and from the reports that I saw, 21 million of that went to Trump. Michael Bloomberg was second with 95, 73 with Tom Steyer. Then you just go down the list. Look at all the cash just being flung out to Democrats and Republicans alike. And they're worried about safeguarding the sanctity of the election process. The election's bought, guys. Look at all that money. They don't give money for their health, guys. They get kickbacks. These are the individual contributors, all federal contributions. When you can give $100 million in a year, you want something back. You want some kickbacks. You want some cheddar. You want some politicians to do something. They better jump. And when you say how high, that's exactly how high they need to go. Yeah, look at that 4 more. Look at the glazed looks. The glazed looks on their face.
Thank you very much. So, that's it. We have the greatest country. We've turned around a ship. We need
Go eat your tacos, man. You trying to get rid of me, Andrew?
We don't have it.
I know, I'm so hungry.
We had one group in Pennsylvania.
All right.
Some guy started screaming,
I'm done with this guy. Unbelievable that people follow him. Unbelievable. Just here, I'll close it out with this list. Incredible list of mountains and mountains and piles of money shelled out to campaign. I'm speechless. I don't even know what to say about this. All right, guys. Any parting words? Any parting words? Let me sum up this live stream like this. Man, we've been going for 2 hours and 12 minutes. I don't know. I want to sum it up like this, okay? People are all pissed off that Trump made a phone call to Zelensky. And then they say that he abused his position, his authority as president, to look into the corrupt practices of a political rival. First of all, on its face, isn't it a good thing to know if one of the politicians that people are going to vote for is involved in corruption? I'd say so. But the bigger issue is you've got a corrupt politician in America, Trump, getting on the phone with a corrupt politician in Ukraine, Zelensky, asking him to dig up dirt on a corrupt former politician, well, current politician also. I mean, because they don't stop being politicians or exercising influence in politicians. Digging up dirt on another corrupt politician. And then you got CNN and MSLSD and Fox News making a whole big show out of it when the bigger issue is, number one, all three of those individuals are corrupt as the day is long. They might as well be mafia members because that's exactly what they are. They want to control their people and they want to steal their money. Trump, Zelensky, and I want to say Biden and Hunter. We'll just go ahead and throw in Hunter Biden for some shits and giggles. So you got Hunter Biden, Joe Biden, Zelensky, and Trump, all corrupt individuals, but nobody's making a big deal out of that. They want to capitalize on and make a big deal out of this, and they want to just say, oh, don't worry about the $1 billion that the quid pro quo. Let's make a big deal out of Trump's quid pro quo for $391 million, but forget about Biden's quid pro quo, which is a more crystal clear quid pro quo to me than Trump's. But we're not going to talk about that because Biden's our man. It's just BS. And then the biggest thing, even over those four guys being corrupt as the day is long, over all that, they're talking about giving away extortion money that's not even theirs. It's yours. It's mine. $1 billion, $391 million. Oh yeah, just sign those checks. No problem. No big deal. Yeah, it is a big deal. So you got, basically, you literally have the Communist News Network and MSLSD and Faux News covering for corruption and corrupt practices. And nobody's talking about that. There's so many things you could impeach Trump on, so many legitimate things. Just pull out the Bill of Rights and go, oh yeah, oh my gosh. Does he, let's go look at Trump's bathroom. I bet he's wiped his butt with the Constitution. Same thing with Obama, same thing with Hillary. Guys, they don't care about, same thing with Pelosi. And then they're all getting up here going, we need to protect and defend the Constitution. Well, you've spent your entire life crumpling it up and trampling it under your feet and using it in the bottom of your cat box. I don't know what you're doing with it, but you're not following it. It's just BS. It's a bunch of BS. And then you got all these pedos running around. How many people in Congress are pedos? That's what I want to know. Would not doubt if it was 100% of them, and they're all in on the gig together. So that's a big deal, guys. That's the deal. That's the takeaway from this whole thing. It's all a dog and pony show. And what makes it a dog and pony show? Because they're really not going to talk about the corruption. They'll never talk about the Federal Reserve. They'll never talk about the IRS. They'll never talk about the money for the military-industrial complex or the Pentagon wasting all that stuff, or the fact that everybody up on a Democrat or Republican stage is bought and paid for, and they're all in the big club, but you ain't. And they're filthy rich to boot. Such BS. All right, guys. That's pretty much it. Thanks for spending time with me. If you enjoy these videos, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification icon, give them a thumbs up, share them with everybody you know, and remember, the price